Here we are with predictions for the District 1 AAA West tournament, which will be held at Springford this coming Saturday, February 25th, 2017. We're going to jump right into things here at 106 pounds. Just an FYI how I'll go through each bracket, as I have with the other two tournaments, we'll go through all the pigtail matches first, and into the quarterfinals, into the semis, and to the from there we'll go back down to the wrestlebacks, do the 5th place, 3rd place, and championship matches. With that said, here we are with the first of the pigtails. Ezra Toll, a freshman from Conestoga, record 24-11, and Chase Stamen, a Boyertown freshman, record 19-15. I'm taking Chase Stamen for the win there over the fellow freshman. Records aside, this one comes down to who's more battle tested throughout the season, and the nod goes to Stamen on this one. Next pigtail, we have Mirage Khan from Upper Darby, freshman, 25-9, and Quinn Tobin from Springford. Again, this 106-pound class is a lot of young talent. There's one senior in the group, and one junior, and the rest are underclassmen. But this one here is battle of 2 freshmen. I'm gonna go Tobin. Haven't seen him wrestle over the years. I just think he's primed to win this match here, which will set up a match with Corey Morabito in the quarters, but more on that later. So down to the bottom, we have PJ Keikos and Anas El Fernani from Marple Newtown. Junior record of 16-11. Keikos freshman record of 18-8, and Keikos picks up the win here. I do like this crop of guys from the Pac-10. Some say I have the Pac-10 bias. So be it. But I think Keikos gets the win there. And the next one is David Forrest, freshman from O&J, record of 14-22, and Kevin Politti from Garnet Valley, freshman, record 23-11. I think Politti wins this one. Recent weeks, I just feel Politti's wrestling better than Forrest. Forrest has kind of been up and down. The big win over Tobin at Pac-10s last week, but up until that point, wasn't all that impressive as he was at times this season. So, I could be wrong, but I got Politti in that one. Just going to the quarterfinals here. Politti, for his win, will get Justin Altrog, the champion on the Pac-10, as senior, 17-8. But Altrog's going to be too much for him. He's a bigger, more physical wrestler, and Politti will not be able to handle what he's going to throw at him as far as from a physical standpoint. In the other quarterfinals in the bottom half of the bracket, we have Keikos and Christian Hodges, a freshman from Lower Merion, and with a record 28-6, and Hodges will pick up the win there to put himself in the semis against Altrog. As we go back up to the top, we have Corey Morabito, who was beaten by Altrog in overtime over last weekend, and Quinn Tobin. Again, Morabito, way more physical, than Tobin will be able to handle, and I see Morabito winning that match. And then we have Stamen, who won his preliminary bout to get into the quarters against Dayton Del Vicio, undefeated freshman from Pencrest, who has just done nothing but rise up the rankings and been impressive this freshman season. He gets the win over Stamen and puts himself in the semis. This Del Vicio Morabito is a rematch from earlier in the year that Del Vicio won, I believe, 3-0. And with this rematch here, it'll be more of the same. Del Vicio with the win to put himself in the finals and qualify for regionals in his freshman year. And this Altrog Hodges match will be won by Altrog, put him in the semis against Del Vicio, which set up a pretty interesting finals match. If we drop down here, let's check out our consolation bracket. We can take away the consolation, the semifinal losers, Stamen and Tobin. This has been a bit of a rivalry where you've had Tobin with the better of it, winning majority of the matches, but that I think is going to change with this one. I think you're going to see Chase Stamen get the win, step up for his team, who's going to need those points for a team race, which I'll talk about at the end with teams I think have the opportunity to win. And then we have Keikos and Politi. And again, I have like what I've seen out of Politi so far this year. Had an opportunity to cover a match of theirs, more than one of their matches, and he's a tough freshman with a bright future. Brother of Nick Politi, two-time state qualifier for the Garnet Valley Jaguars. With the drop downs, we have Politi and Morbido. Again, Politi is going to run to a similar wrestler that he did in the quarters in Altrog, and Morbido, more mature physical wrestler, and Morbido is going to punch his ticket for regionals by beating Politi. And this Hodges-Stamen match will be won by Hodges, put himself into regionals, and then we have, sorry about that, Stamen and Politi wrestling down here, and Stamen getting the better of him here for 5th place. 3rd place will be won by Morbido. Again, I'm not sure Hodges has what it takes to run with someone as physical a wrestler as Morbido. And in this Del Vicio Altrog match, and I went back and forth, and they had similar scores, and albeit Altrog has 8 losses on the season, I didn't think Altrog was going to beat Morbido last week, and he did, and he was impressive in doing it. So I'm gonna ride Justin Altrog on this and say he beats Dayton Del Vicio. But again, this is just my opinion. Do I think this match could go either way? Yes. Do I think that is a bit of a stretch of a pick? Potentially, but Altrog was impressive last week at Pac-10s. Give him his due. And the young freshman's due for a loss. Not saying I want him to lose, just saying he's due for a loss, and maybe get it now, and refocus him for the regionals and a run there to get to Hershey. So that's your bracket here, 106 pounds, and we'll move into 113. So at 113 pounds, in the first pigtail, we have Stephen Coleman, Perk Valley sophomore, 14-7, and Andrew Coughlin, a Lower Merion sophomore, who's 11-8. I'm gonna go with Andrew Coughlin there for the win for the Lower Merion Aces. Next match is Jared Coons, Upper Perk Jr., 26-5 in the season, and Max Ostrom, a Harriton freshman, who's 10-9. I see Coons winning there and getting into the quarterfinals. Then we have Matt Flicker and Eric Shanahan. Flicker, the Garnet Valley freshman, who's a record of 18-16, and Shanahan, the Owen J. Roberts freshman, who's 10-17. They wrestled earlier in the year, I believe, with something to the tune of 6-0 in favor of Flicker. Never really let Shanahan get into the match, and I envision the match pretty much going the same as it did the first time, with Flicker getting the win. And then we have Jacob Van Dusen, Marple Newtown freshman, who's 12-10, and Grant Rubin, a Norristown senior, who's 8-13. I'm going to give the nod to the guy with more experience, Grant Rubin, getting the win there. And let's go into our roll right into our quarterfinals. We have Marcus Mojica, sophomore from Upper Darby, who's 14-10, and Grant Rubin, the junior, 18-13. I'm gonna go Mojica for the win to get into the semis. And this Flicker Meredith matchup, Meredith is definitely gonna be looking to get back to his winning ways. Had a setback last week, and that's last 2 times, maybe more, he's wrestled Matt Wild, has taken a loss. So he's got probably has thoughts of getting back on the mat with him in this tournament and get a chance to get a little bit of revenge. So with that said, Brandon Meredith gets the win convincingly over Matt Flicker. And here we have Trevor Beresford, a senior from Pencrest, 24-5, and Jared Coons, who I said is a junior, 26-5. I'm going Coons on this one. I just like watch kid wrestle. He's aggressive. He gets after it, and he's gone for the ringer this year, and he's been some tough matches, and I think he's going to beat Beresford there. In the Coughlin Wild matchup, it's going to be all Matt Wild to get to the semis. And the Wild Coons matchup, I'm going Wild. He's had Coons' number, and I just don't see Coons closing the gap that much to make it a match. And then the Meredith Mojica match, Meredith with the win to get into the finals, set up that rematch of last week's Pac-10 final, which should be interesting. We'll talk about in a little bit. the Coughlin Beresford first round wrestle back. I'm going to take Beresford for the win to get into the Consi semis, and Flicker and Ruben, I'm going to go with Ruben. Again, guy with a little bit more experience, a little bit more physical, and looking to lean on that experience to get him to Consi semis. We take away the semifinal losers, Coons and Ruben. Coons will take care of business there and qualify for regionals, getting a third and fourth place match. And Mojica will take care of Beresford and get himself into the regions as well. They have Beresford and Ruben, with Ruben the win over Beresford, and Coons with the win over Mojica. And then we go back up to our All Pac-10 final here at 113 pounds with Matt Wild and Brandon Meredith. And I'm gonna ride the hot hand on this one. Matt Wild, again, it has some goals this year, and talking with him that he's looking to achieve, and this is one more step in the towards his goals, achieving his goals. And I'm going to go with Matt Wild here for the win over Brandon Meredith in the final for the second week in a row. And so that concludes the 113. Let's get into the 120-pound weight class, where this is a weight class with a lot of some pretty tough guys, and most of them reside from the Pac-10. It was a bit of a grinder last week in this weight class. But let's talk here about Dirk Nugent and Joe Andros. Nugent, the sophomore from Springford, 18 and 12. Andros is a sophomore from Strathaven, who's 19 and 13. I'm going to take Nugent for the win here, just to get him into the quarterfinals. Again, Nugent's a tough kid, and I think he's looking to build upon last season. When he was in the same tournament last year. Kiwe McNair, outstanding freshman from Methacton. He's 27-4 on the year. And Ryan Prum, a Ridley sophomore, 7-17. This match is going to be all McNair. So McNair will get into the quarters. We'll talk more about that on the way back up. We have Nazmul Islam, who's a freshman from Upper Darby at 17 and 11, and Zach Rosansky, a freshman from Upper Perk at 15 and 14. I'm going with Islam here. I think his style is going to present a problem for Rosansky. I don't know if Rosansky will get to his offense from his feet. And Islam does a good job of countering and whatnot. I think the match will be won there on their feet. Going down to the next one, we have Dylan Conlon, a freshman from Garnet Valley, who's 13 and 15, and Chase Banyai, a junior from Pottsgrove, is 21 and 8. I'm going Banyai here for the win. Again, long, lanky guy, very unassuming looking at him, and then he gets a hold of you, and he really can put a hurt on some guys. So he gets in the quarters, he gets David Begiroff, a junior from Springfield Delco, and I'm going to go with Banyai for the upset there to get into the semis. And it just comes down to matchups, and I just think Banyai is going to be a tough out at this point in the season. Pottsgrove doesn't have top to bottom doesn't have a tough team, but they have some tough individual guys that are in this tournament, and Banyai is one of them. So I think his he's going to get the upset win here over Bagirov. And go up to the other one. We have Luke Resnick, a senior from ONJ, is 36 and 6, and Nazmul Islam. Resnick's going to be too much for the freshman from Upper Darby, and Resnick's going to take care of business, get himself into the semifinal match there. And then we have Roberto Lesser, a Harriton freshman, who's 16-3, and Kiwe McNair. Again, McNair, his losses are to just some pretty tough guys. I don't see him losing this one. I see him getting to the semis, and with that said, he probably wants another shot at David Campbell, which he'll get with Campbell taking care of Nugent. And let's talk about this Campbell-McNair matchup. It was a 4-3 semifinal win for David Campbell last week. And, I have to think that both staffs went back to the drawing board and saw what went through what happened. And here at this rematch, I'm going to pull the trigger on the McNair upset. McNair is just a gamer. I watched him, at district duels wrestling against Ben Radner and down late and coming back and just didn't stop and just kept going at Ben Radner and getting the win when Myth Acton and Rock South wrestled. And I just think that he's going to dig deep. He's going to find a way to beat Campbell this second time around. Then with Resnick and Banyai, I'm going to take Resnick for the win. He's just going to be, too experienced, too seasoned of a wrestler, and Banyai won't have an answer for what Resnick's gonna throw towards him. And let's drop down and look at our wrestlebacks. First, we got Nugent and Lesser, and I'm gonna go Nugent to beat Lesser there. Again, guy it's a year older. Nugent's been through a ringer this year of a schedule and wrestling with guys like Brandon Meredith day in and day out makes you better. Islam and Bagirov, with the loss in the quarterfinal, drops down. Probably didn't expect to be there. Again, my opinion. Bagirov with the win over Islam, and we have Banyai dropping down and Campbell dropping down. Campbell knocking out Bagirov and puts him in the 5th and 6th place match. And I'm going to have Banyai qualifying for regionals out of the 4th place from the Pac-10, beating Dirk Nugent and put Nugent down there against Bagirov. Bagirov with the win over Nugent here in this 3rd place match. Campbell with the win over Banyai. And this Resnick McNair is a rematch from the consolation semifinal match between the Owen J. Roberts Wildcats and the Myth Acton Warriors, in which Resnick, I believe, was either tech fall or 14-1 victory for Luke Resnick. I don't see that in this match here. I see it being much closer, but ultimately I see Luke Resnick for the win at 120 pounds here. Moving on to 126 pounds. And another familiar face or name, Jacob Campbell, is in this weight class, but we're going to go through what possibly be our marquee final of this tournament. Possibly, I say, because there'll be some good ones, but if this one were to happen, we'll be lucky to see. So we have Isaiah Tucker, Norristown freshman, James Lado from Lower Merion, a freshman, who's 27-7. I'm going with the freshman from Lower Merion, Lado, or Yato. Apologize if it's incorrect. Next, pigtail, we have Austin Rowley, Perk Valley sophomore, who's 13-7, and Ty Dortone, a Pencrest senior, who's 10-4. I'm going Dortone. I'm going with the guy with the more experience, older to get into the quarterfinals. And let's drop down the bottom half of the bracket. We got Vince DeMichelle, Springfield Delco seniors, 21-10, against Connor Leister, freshman, 6-4. Leister guy was able to bust in the lineup here in the postseason for the Wildcats. Comes out, takes 6th place at districts, but I don't think he'll have enough to compete with the senior DeMichelle. I think it's gonna be a little bit too much for him. Leister will hang early, and he's always in matches because he's able to hit moves and big moves at that. But I just don't know that he's going to have enough in his bag of tricks to pull this one out. And we have Jake McGrath, a Ridley Jr., and Zach DeSanto, an Upper Merion Senior. And I'm going with McGrath here, the Ridley Jr., for the win to get into the quarterfinals against Matt Marino. And, Matt Marino's a Garden Valley Senior, record of 35-2 on the year. And all he's done is just beat everybody, exception of some guys at the Beast to the East, and we all know that's no slouch of a tournament. Marino with the win over McGrath. We have DeMichelle and Alex Caballero, Pottstown Jr., 17-6. He was runner-up to Jacob Campbell last week, and DeMichelle, I'm going to go with Caballero for the win over DeMichelle. And let's move up to the top half of the bracket. We have Ty Dortone and Zach El Fernani, Marple Newtown seniors, 22-4. I'm going to go with El Fernani over the win over Dortone. I'm just don't have enough information on Dortone as to why he only wrestled 14 matches this year. coming out the 6th place finish at his league tournament, the Central League. Just not enough there for me to take him over El Fernani, who's the runner-up to Marino. And then we have James Lato and Jacob Campbell. Campbell, again, all day, will win that match. With Campbell, El Fernani in the first semifinal, it's going to be Campbell with the win and get to the final, and Marino will have his way with Caballero and set up a outstanding final, which we'll talk about in just a second. We have Lato and Dortone. I'm going Lato again. Not enough information on Dortone as to why he only wrestled so many X amount of matches this year. And Di Michelle and McGrath. I'm going with that one. Di Michelle. And I have El Fernani beating Di Michelle, putting him down to 5th and 6th place match. And I have Caballero being Lato, which puts him down to 5th and 6th place match. And Lato coming out and taking 4th at the Central League, but taking 5th at Districts. And this Caballero El Fernani match, I'm going to go with El Fernani. Again, tough kid that will give Alex Caballero some trouble. So let's get back to this Marino Campbell match, and this one has the makings for when a match could be very, very good. Marino just loves to just come at you and get his hooks going and launch kids and throw and just is not short on any kind of excitement whatsoever. And whereas Campbell's a little bit more calculated and meticulous, and he'll pick you apart. So it's a very interesting contrasting styles. For this match, and it's going to be simple for Marino to win. He's going to have to create chaos and get Campbell outside of his comfort zone. That's just my 2 cents. I think if Marino can consistently create a lot of motion from his feet, and he's real tough, he's tough on bottom, he's tough to ride. I think that this match will be won from the neutral position, and if Marino can consistently, create that chaos like I talked about, it'll be trouble for Campbell. Now on the flip side, Campbell's very good at controlling the pace of matches. He's very good at dictating it and very good at making other guys wrestle the match that he wants to wrestle. So these conflicting styles here, it's going to be interesting to see who's going to be able to, which one's going to be able to impose their will more so on the other. For this match in particular, I'm going to go. I'm not even going to call it an upset. I'm going to go with Matt Marino on this for the win and to be the District 1 West champion. Just based on the fact that I think he's going to be able to, again, create enough mayhem within the match that it's going to be trouble for, Jacob Campbell. Let's move into 132 pounds, and this is another interesting bracket. You got, I talked about some of the other ones. You got a lot of guys that, some unknowns as far as about some guys, and I'll talk about them as we get to them. And then he's got just, solid guys, and this nice thing with the postseason as it goes on, like every match could go either way, and not to say any match in this bracket could go either way, but the tendency for it to happen is greater now that we're at the district level. So we have Christian Fox and David Huth. Fox, a senior, who's 10-8, and Huth, a junior, who's 21-11. This one was a toss-up for me. I could have flipped a coin and gone either way, but for sake of argument, I went with Fox, just because of, like I said, guys he's going with every day. He's going with guys that are making him, better every day, and I'm sure he's, taking some lumps within the wrestling room, and that has an effect to make you better. And let's move down to Jarek Svanson and Sasha Rieger from Strathaven. Svanson is a junior, 23-9, and Rieger is a junior who's 16-12. I got Svanson winning here from Upper Perk. I just think he's gonna, get to impose his, kind of in-your-face style and start attacking, and I don't think Rigger's going to have an answer for it. Let's move down here to one I was talking about unknowns. Julius Starkey, senior, coming off a year in which he had a real nice season, and not only wrestled 7 matches as a senior, and again, it's one of those situations where I wasn't able to get enough information as to why it was only 7 matches, but he gets Drew Ballack, a sophomore from Methacton, and I think Starkey wins this, setting up a very intriguing quarterfinal match with Antonio Petrocelli, which we'll talk about in just a few moments. We have Thomas Reif, Upper Darby Senior, 1913, and Nathaniel Parson, a Pottstown Junior, 17-5. Reif was, for those that watched the match between Upper Darby and Garnet Valley, Reif was the one who almost got the Peterson there at the end that won the match outright for the Royals. Ended up going to Criteria. It was ended up being waived off and then went to Criteria, and they won on Criteria H. But Reif was the one that stayed in until the end and really worked to not give up bonus points when he when his team needed it the most. And I got Reif winning that match, and for that win, he comes out and gets Brennan Stocku, sophomore from Pencrest, who's 34-3, and I got Stocku winning that one, getting himself into the semifinals. I go back to this Starkey Petrocelli match, and again, Starkey, like I said, is a senior, Petrocelli is a freshman. I go back and forth with a lot of these, youth, and Chuck Nestling. I talked about the old guard and the new guard. I just don't know where Starkey's at as far as was it injuries, things like that, and because I don't have all that information. And again, I'm sure I'll be informed by you loyal listeners on the forum, which is perfectly acceptable. I'm gonna go with Petrocelli on this one for the. I'm gonna call it a mild upset. I feel Petrocelli's wrestling really well. He was exposed a little bit last week against Fuentes. Fuentes did a good job of just kind of controlling the match. And if Starkey had a full season under his belt right now, I would say I would be more apt to go with Starkey here. But the fact of the matter is, he's 7 matches into the season, and he had limited regular season matches, so there's probably maybe a little bit of rust he's knocking off and getting, acclimated back to wrestling. He may not be back in wrestling shape, and there's a guy who's grinded out and has wrestled 41 matches this season. That was played a big factor in deciding the choice in this one. And then we're going to go up to Salvatore Pizzuto, to Garnet Valley Seniors, 23-9, and Jarek Svanson. Then this is a match. Again, I'm looking forward to seeing these two guys. Really get after it. And, this part of the the strength of that Garnet Valley lineup with Marino, Pizzuto, and Politi. And I'm gonna go with Pizzuto on this one. I just think that he's just just a little bbit tougher, and take care of business. And we got Christian Fox and Eric Fuentes, and I'm gonna go with Fuentes. Fuentes had a nice tournament last weekend, became a 4-time league champ, 3 in the Suburban 1 and 1 in the Pac-10. Or 4-time league champ, 3 in one in the other. And he doesn't wow you with anything, but he's just really consistent and technical with what he does. This Pizzuto Fuentes match, I'm gonna go with It's again one of those good matchups. I think that Fuentes will be able to control the pace of the match, which doesn't bode well for Pizzuto, and I think Fuentes gets the win and gets to the finals. And here we have Petrocelli and Stocku, and 2 talented underclassmen. I'm gonna again go on a limb here, and people are gonna say that I have my O&J glasses on, but I'm going with Petrocelli for the win to get into the finals here and get a rematch with Fuentes. Say what you will. I looked at a lot of things, common opponents, competition wrestled, and I know Stocku did finish 3rd at Conestoga Valley, and Petrocelli did not, and they both wrestled the same guy from Lake Lehman that day. But I just look at how Petrocelli's wrestled down the stretch, with the exception of the competition he's wrestled, and the exception of Fuentes' match where he wasn't able to establish his offense like he wanted to. He's been wrestling very well. So I'm going with Petroselli there, and I'm prepared to take any comments that come my way. So we have Staku and Pizzuto drop down. And we have Fox and Svanson. Svanson will take care of Fox, and Starkey takes care of Rife. And we have Pizzuto and Starkey, which to me, again, too many unknowns for me to go with Starkey here. So I'm taking, I'm going to take Pizzuto for the win and put Staku down there. And then, I'm sorry, well, I just gave a little surprise. I'm going to take Svanson over Staku, and it's going to set up a Starkey-Staku match here with Staku winning, and Pizzuto and Svanson here, and I'm going to go with Pizzuto for the win, beating Svanson twice in one day. Again, just the way I feel it would go in their match. I feel that would be an entertaining match with like a lot of points on the board. But that's right, like I said, I see it going. Back to Petroselli and Fuentes. Again, I think the gap closes a little bit, but when the gap closes, it's still going to be Fuentes for the win and be our champ at 132 pounds, or be your champ at 132 pounds. Let's move on to 138. 138 features one of the one of the best we have to offer here in District 1 in Colin Cronin, and a pretty good supporting cast of talented guys after that. This is Colin Cronin's weight class to lose, and we'll talk about that a little bit more, but let's get to these pigtails. Sam Wrightson, Laura Marion Jr., 22-11, and Rick Bregenzer, Norristown Jr., who's 18-12. I'm going with Wrightson here from Laura Marion. It's one of those things. I have a feeling it's one of those matches can go either way, and I'm going Wrightson with this one. And we have Nick Politti, two-time state qualifier from Garnet Valley. He's a senior, 29-7, and Anthony Wiggins, a Pottstown junior, is 15-13. All Politti does in the postseason is win matches. It's never pretty, but he just wins matches, and I think he's going to get back to his winning ways here, and stick with it and set up a quarterfinal match with him and Cole Meredith. So let's go down to the bottom half. We have Matt Carresco, an Upper Marion senior, 26-7, and Jameer Ryder from Radnor, as sophomores, 14-8. I'm going with Carresco here for the win. Upper Marion doesn't have many kids, but they do have a few talented ones, Carresco being one of them. And we have Brett Bridor, a sophomore, 13-19, and the Ridley junior, Kyle Stradzis, who's 17-16. I'm going to go Bridor for the win there to get into the quarterfinals. But he gets Dylan Henry, and Dylan Henry will put him into the wrestlebacks. We have Eric Hutchinson, a senior, who's 23-4, and Matt Carresco and Hutchinson to take care of business and get himself into the semis. Then we have Cole Meredith and Nick Politti. This is again another match where it has the potential for the scoreboard to be lit up, or at least the attempt to launch one another. They're going to come at each other. Meredith wrestled was it Matt Marino at District Duels, and went right out, and he's fearless. He went right out and tried to launch him, hit him with a headlock, I believe. And it's kind of he's not afraid to get after you. With that said, I'm going to take the wiry sophomore for the win to get into the semis. And then we have Colin Cronin taking care of business with Sam Wrightson. Cronin's going to have his way and then some with Cole Meredith there in the semis. And I got Henry get himself to the finals after beating Eric Hutchinson. I was impressed with Dylan Henry last week. He lost the prior two matches to Cole Meredith, but he came in with a game plan. He got to score. He scored first, and was able to then really keep Meredith at bay. He forced Meredith to have to force things, and that was to his favor. And he won the match as a result. So he had a good game plan. He stuck to it, and it got him a Pac-10 championship. So let's drop down. We take out Hutchinson and Meredith. After losing, we got Wrightson and Politti. Politti with the win there. Politti and Hutchinson is another good matchup here, and this 138 leaves you no room for error in any matches whatsoever. And here I have Politi again getting it done because all he does in the postseason is win. And here Carrasco with the win over Brightor. Meredith taking care of Carrasco and getting into the Conci semis with a rematch with Politi. You got Hutchinson and Carrasco here. Hutchinson with the win to take fifth. You got Politi coming back all the way back after losing the quarters, wrestling back to take third, including a beating Meredith in a rematch and putting himself in good position for regionals on the following weekend. Here in his Cronin Henry match in the final, it's it's going to be all Colin Cronin. He's just on another level than the other guys in this weight class in this tournament right here, and that's not no disrespect to anyone else. It's just what it is. It's a reality. So let's move on to 145, and again another weight class with some could provide with some fireworks and some good matches. But let's go here up in the first pigtail. We got Evan Mortimer, Boyertown freshman, 10 and 20 on the year, and John Crawford, a Strathaven sophomore, who's 20 and 12 on the year. I'm gonna go with Crawford. I'm gonna go with the guy who's got a year experience, and came down to it. He just I think he's got the edge over Mortimer here. And we have Jonathan Westlake, the senior from Springford, 22 and 9. Wrestling Tyler Forbes, the junior, 19 and 10 from Springfield Delco. I'm going with Jonathan Westlake. Again, tough guy. Tough to score on, and just a solid wrestler overall. And then we have down lower half of the bracket in the first round matchups. We have Evan Walker, Conestoga senior, and Nick Seaman, a Norristown sophomore. The Conestoga senior comes in with a record of 27-6, while Nick Seaman comes in with a record of 20-11. I'm gonna go Evan Walker on this one to get into the quarterfinals to have a matchup with Dan Mancini. And then we have Ishmael Tarawali, Upper Darby senior, 7-7, and Drew Rowley from Perk Valley, senior, who's 11 and 10, and I'm going with Tara Wally from Upper Darby. This one again, you could say maybe flip a coin, but what it came down to for me was the fact that Upper Darby wrestles a more difficult schedule than Perk Valley, and Tara Wally's been challenged a little bit more. He's got better guys around him, and there's not an excuse. I'm stating some actual facts there. I just think Tara Wally's going to be better equipped to win this match. Tarawali, though, gets Dave Wood, the champ out of the Central League, 18-3. He's a senior, and Wood gets the win there. Mancini, a sophomore, 31 and 10 for Owen J. Roberts. He takes care of Walker and gets himself into the semis. And we have Jonathan Westlake and Ryan Stocku, senior from Pencrest, 32 and 4 on the year. I'm going to go with Westlake on this one. Call it what you will. I just think Westlake is poised to make a run here. And that run was these two matches, and gets himself into the semis. And Bryce Reddington and John Crawford is going to be all Bryce Reddington. Reddington and Westlake's going to be all Reddington. Get them into the finals. And Mancini and Wood, which this match I hope it happens. I think it's got the makings to be a very good match. But with that said, if Mancini wrestles the way he did in the final against Reddington last week, where he doesn't get to his offense, doesn't take many shots, and by not many shots, doesn't take any, he's going to be in for a long day with Dave Wood. With that said, I think Mancini's mindset will be a little bit different come this week, and he gets the win here to get to the finals to have a rematch with Reddington. And let's go talk about the wrestlebacks before we come back and talk about that final some. We have Crawford and Stocku, and I think Stocku wins that match. And we have Walker and Tarawali. Walker wins that one to set up the Walker-Westlake match, and Westlake gets the win and qualifies for regionals. Puts Walker down to 5th and 6th match. And then Wood and Stocku, again, this match was for the championship of the Central League last week, won by Wood. But I'm going with Stocku here to get some revenge and get into the Conci final and qualify for regionals. And then Staku with the rematch of with the rematch against Jonathan Westlake gets the win to take third place. Here we have Wood drop down, and Wood beats Walker for fifth. Come back up, talk about this Reddington-Mancini matchup. Bryce is Reddington's 2-0 on the year against Mancini, and that comes as an overtime win and a more convincing win in the Pac finals. All things considered, I think this match is tighter than the last one. I think you'll see a different game plan out of both wrestlers. Reddington is not going to be satisfied with just beating him and going to rest on the fact that he beat him last time he wrestled him. And Mancini sure isn't set to just concede the fact that he lost last time. They're going to you expect to see a little bit different of a match. Expect to see a little more action from neutral in this one. Expect to see some more shots out of Mancini. Mancini did lose his cool there towards the end of the match. Don't expect to see that happen again. This is a pretty cool budding rivalry between these two, and too bad it's gonna be over after this year. But it's a match I'm looking forward to seeing the rematch, and hopefully it does happen. But with that said, until Mancini shows me different, I gotta go with Reddington for the win on this one. So let's move on to 152 pounds. And in our first pigtail match, we have Shane McAdams, Haverford High freshman. He's 14-17th. And Zaire Tucker, a Norristown sophomore with identical 14-17 record. Again, this one of those ones you can kind of flip a coin, but I'm going with the Norristown young man, 14-17, like I said, sophomore, just maybe a year older, a little wiser. And we have Merrick Driver, Conestoga senior, 16-14, and Hunter Ricci, Park Valley sophomores, 10-11. I'm going with the senior here. I'm going to go with Merrick Driver. And move down to the bottom half of the bracket. We got Ben DiArcangelo, Springford Jr., 22-13, and James Cooper, a Ridley senior, record of 10-15. I'm going to DiArcangelo for the win. Again, leaning on the here the guy with just has more matches under his belt, and more wins, and that's the way I'm leaning. So here we have Ricky McCutcheon, Owen J. Roberts sophomore, 14-18 on the year, and Gavin Burke, Harriton senior, 13-16. McCutcheon's an interesting case because he had beaten the second, the third, and the fifth seed at the Pac tournament, but because of the seeding points, he was seeded 7th or 8th, and then coming right out to shoot, got Chris Berry. And, here he is again. So the best he could do after losing to Chris Berry was wrestle back for 5th, and it's exactly what he did. And so how's, he rewarded for that. He takes 5th, and he gets a match here. He's going to win against Gavin Burke, but then his second round opponent in the quarterfinal is going to be Chris Berry again. Although I think he closes the gap, I just don't think he's there yet to beat him. Berry's wrestling very well right now, as was, on display last week in the Pac tournament. And I think Berry wins and gets into the semis. You have Devin Moore, a senior from Strathaven, who's 25-5, and Ben DiArcangelo from Springford. I'm going with Devin Moore here for the win. You have talented freshman Roman Moser, is 24-8 on the year, and Merrick Driver. Moser's going to be too much for Driver in this match, and Zaire Tucker will get the top seed, Upper Darby senior, Max Livingston, who's 28-3 in the season, and Livingston will be more than Tucker can handle as he gets into the semis. Livingston will be, again, more than Moser will be able to handle in the semis as Livingston gets into the finals. And this Moore and Berry match, albeit has potential to be pretty good, I think in the end Berry comes out on top. And then let's drop down here. We have Tucker and Driver. I'm going with Driver here for the win. DiArcangelo and McCutcheon. I'm going McCutcheon here. The rematch from their dual meet, and which was won by McCutcheon, and he's wrestling better now. Again, McCutcheon had some issues this year with injuries and stuff like goofy injuries, like things that don't happen, like you hear and you don't even believe it. And I think he's onto his winning ways now, and we can take out the semi-losers, and here we have Moser McCutcheon rematch of the from the dual meet when they wrestled each other the first time that Owen J and Myth Acton wrestled, and it was a match that was won by McCutcheon in overtime. And you know, as much as I it's as hard as it is to beat a guy 2 times in a year or 2 times in a day, I'm going with McCutcheon. At this point, I think he'll be on a roll. He'll be feeling it. He knows what's on the line. He wants it. Going to put those disappointments behind him, and he's being a little bit. Going to dig deep and gut one out against Roman Moser. And we have Driver and Moore up on the other side, and I'm going with Devin Moore for the win. So we got Driver, Moser. I think Moser wins for 5th, and we got Moore and McCutcheon. And again, Moore will put a little bit of damper on McCutcheon's day, but I think at the end of the day, McCutcheon will be a regional qualifier this year as a sophomore. So let's talk about this final between Livingston and Barry. Again, it's not one of, I wouldn't say it's our marquee matchup, but it's one that's going to be pretty, could be, again, has the potential to be entertaining. At the end of the day, I think Barry's, better on his feet and better on top. And that, I think, will be the difference between winning and losing here. And Chris Barry will repeat as champ on back-to-back weeks. So as we move on to 160 pounds. And again, some unknowns in this weight class as well. Let's start with these pigtails here. Michael Gradwell, a junior from Springford, 17 and 14, and Alex Ramos, a senior from Haverford High, who's 17 and 17. I'm going with Michael Gradwell for the win. I've got Michael Blakemore, a junior from Myth Acton, who's 26 and 4, and Samuel Bupp, a senior who's 20 and 12. I'm going Blakemore. Just like the motor the kid has, I like the fact that he's nonstop. He keeps coming at you. He likes to attack, and I like to reward guys that wrestle that style. We have Robbie Peters, a senior, who's 16 and 8, and Aiden Weber, a freshman from Pottstown. I'm going to go with Robbie Peters here for the win to get into the quarters. And then we have Severin Johnson, a sophomore from Conestoga, who's 18 and 11. And Hunter Vogels, senior, is 27-10. Vogels, I'm not sure how hurt he is. He had a week to heal. I'm not sure where he's at. But it's like I said when I said we had some unknowns. But, regardless if he's not all the way healthy, he's going to win this match and get into the quarterfinals. And the quarterfinal opponent would be Pencrest Senior with a record of 32 and 8, David Stevens. Again, I think Vogels is even at 70 or 80%. I still think he beats Stevens here and gets into the semis. Here at Jacob Folk and Robbie Peters. Folk had a great tournament last week. He beat Vogels, and Vogels, yes, was not 100%. But it doesn't change the fact he had a great day. He can't control those factors on who's injured, who's not. And really nice to see he's a senior from Upper Perk, 27-6 record, and Folk gets to win over Peters. And Blakemore and Johnson. Johnson is a junior from Upper Darby, the record of 12 and 7. Jake Johnson, that is. Blakemore's been too much for him. Blakemore's going to punch his ticket to the semis. And then we have Ryan Resnick, senior from Owen J. Roberts, record of 35 and 2. And Michael Gradwell from Springford and Resnick. I think wins by bonus points here. And then Resnick and Blakemore. Resnick's going to win, a match kind of going away. Resnick likes to put the points on the board, and this match will be no different and put himself in the finals. This Folk and Vogels rematch. Again, I don't know how healthy he is. Vogels did not look good when he defaulted out in the 3rd and 4th place match last week. So, with that said, with that unknown of his health, I'm going to go Folk here again for the win in back-to-back weeks over Resnick. And then let's go drop down. And we got Gradwell and Johnson. I think Gradwell gets the win over Johnson instead of a match with Vogels. We got Peters and Stevens. Tough match here, but I'm going to go with Stevens and Blakemore. And the Stevens-Blakemore match, it came down to me like basically flipping a coin, like literally to the point where I got a quarter out and flipped it. And I'm going Blakemore with this one. And then we have Vogels and Gradwell. Vogels, again, I'm going to say he's he's healthy enough. And so we got Gradwell and Stevens down here. Stevens with the win. And then we have the rematch, or what was supposed to be a match last week in the third and fourth place match at the PAC tournament, won by Blakemore via forfeit. I don't know that if Vogels is remotely healthy enough, I see him going in this match, because the difference between coming out being the third and fourth place could be a big difference. Now, with that said, I haven't looked ahead at the brackets and see what potential matchups might come down the way. So I'm going to make this pick based on the assumption that third place is a better position for him to be to get the states than fourth place is, and Vogels will wrestle, and beat Blakemore. So then let's go up top and go Resnick and Folk. It's going to be more of the same that we saw last Saturday night at Boyertown. Resnick, in control from the start and win the match. We're going to go on to 170 pounds, and in our our pigtails, we have Jason Zollers and John Herbison. This was a great match. It's going to be a great first round matchup for these two guys. The winner, this weight class is, as far as qualifying for regionals, I wouldn't say is pretty cut and dry. You got two guys that are relatively tough, like Isaiah Mays. You got Brennan Marion, that are favorites to potentially win. Then you have Carl Kamenusa, you have Alex Mong, you have Ryan Finn. I would put Zollers and Herbison in that group as well. Jack Files, Jacob Miller. I just named off 8 guys in this weight class that could qualify. So to trim it to 4, it came down like these first round matchups were trimming guys that potentially could be getting out, and this is one of them. So I'm going Zollers on this one. Again, seeing him wrestle on a regular basis, he battles, and he's good for an upset or two. Those that remember last year, he upset Max Livingston at districts, and he just came down to just being more aggressive and tougher, and he really dug deep and imposed his will. And so, like I said, that's huge. I think you see that out of Zollers again. Ryan Finn, a senior, 24-3. Third place on a pack, and Dom Torriello, a Ridley senior, 15-16. I'm getting a nod to Finn here. He's been around, and I'm thinking this might be the weekend that Finn is due to beat the guys he's supposed to beat, instead of lose to the guys he's supposed to beat, or win the match he's in control of and close out. So with that said, let's drop down the bottom half. Jeremy Lauer, Garnet Valley Jr., who's 13-15, and Jack Files, the Springford sophomores, 2012. Go Files in this one. Files just a guy stays in matches and wins those tight ones. Then we have Anthony Maricio, Springfield Delco seniors, 16-15, and Jacob Miller, the Boyertown sophomores, 24-14. I'm going with Jacob Miller here. I'm just by the weeks, just still impressed with this guy. He just goes out, and again, another guy, like I like to use the term unassuming. You look at him and you're like, you don't think he's gonna come out and he's gonna scrap, he's gonna battle like he does, but he does. And it is it's nice to see on a regular basis out of a young sophomore like that. So we have he gets Alex Mong, the Haverford High seniors, 22-6. This match is, again, you could flip a coin. I think it's gonna be a tough, close match, but I'm giving the nod to the senior, Alex Mong. And here, Files and Mays. Mays going to win here. Mays, a senior from Pottstown, 24-3, runner-up in the pack last week. We have Carl Kamenusa and Ryan Finn. Kamenusa, the Upper Darby seniors, 18-13. I talked about with Finn, this is the weekend that he starts to win those matches that he's supposed to win on a regular basis. And he beats Kamenusa and gets into the semis. And then Marion and Zollers, again, they've wrestled before, and Marion's won, and he wins again. Sets up Marion and Finn 3 times, to my knowledge. Finn was in the lead over Marion late and ended up not winning one way or another. But that changes today. He beats Marion to get into the finals and qualify for regionals. Then we have Mays and Mahong down in the bottom, and I'm going with Mays here again. Just making an all-pack final. I just think Mays is going to be too much for Mong. He's you know has a little bit more experience, and uh, if he can get to his offense, stay there, and not wrestle beyond his means. I think he was a little bit too pumped up for the match with Marion last week in the finals, and I think the excitement got to him and it wore him out. I saw him get tired, which is typically something you don't see, and I think as a result, it may or more or less or may not have cost him the match. So we have Mung down, drop down here, and Marion drop down here. We have Zollers and Kamenusa. Again, this is another match like there's zero room for error. I'm going with Zollers for the win over Kamenusa. Files and Miller. Again, a Pac-10 matchup. But I'm going to go with Miller. Like I said, he's been nothing but impressive this season as a sophomore. Winning, like I said, 24 matches come into this weekend. Here we have Miller and Marion. Marion, the senior is going to use that, lean on that experience, and get the win over Miller to punch his ticket for regionals. And we'll drop Miller down there. And the Zellers Mong match, kind of goes along the lines with Mays. Like, this is another one of those stretches for me as far as saying that he's going to be able to hang with him, but something about Zollers, the way that he goes about how he wrestles, I think he's got what it takes here, and he's going to qualify for regionals as a junior. Unfortunately, he'll lose again to Marion, and then Mong with the win over Miller. That Mong, Miller, Zollers, those three guys, on paper, despite the record, are pretty even as far as level of competition they've wrestled and beaten. Miller Mong can go either way in the quarterfinals. Don't be surprised if Miller beats him. That's just the way it is. Not saying nothing against Mong, and don't be surprised if Mong beats Mays. It goes each way. They're just close in level ability, and we know in the postseason anything can happen. Let's go back up top here and look at this final between Finn and Mays. This was a rematch from their border battle earlier in the year that was won by Finn 3-2. Like I said, I don't think Mays, although Finn beat Marion, I don't think Finn pulls the win over Mays. I think you get Mays for the win here, not letting what happened to him last week happen again. So you got Mays as your 170-pound champ. Let's go look at 182 pounds. Our first pigtail. We got Griffin Gerber, senior from Owen J. Roberts, 10-19, and Dazon Peterson, an Upper Darby freshman, 7-9. I'm gonna give the nod to the senior here, Griffin Gerber, and we have Rich Maggio, junior, 21-10, and Brian West at Garnet Valley Juniors, 8-20. I'm gonna give the junior Maggio the nod here to get into the tournament. And then we have Dwayne Snipes, Springfield Delco, senior, 27-3, and Jacob Sterling, a PV freshman, 6-13. This one's gonna be Snipes all day for the win. And we have Mike Wilson, Pencrest senior, 19-15, and Bryce Thompson, a Phoenixville junior, 19-10. I'm going with Wilson for this one. Wilson will then come out and wrestle Jack Horvath, a Radnor junior, who's 24-4. Horvath getting the win to get into the semis. And we have Chase Smith sitting waiting as the runner-up in the pack. Springford sophomore, 20-12. I have him taking care of Snipes to get into the semis. And we have Matt Weir, the Haverford High senior, and Rich Maggio, the senior from Haverford High, 16-9. I'm going to go with Maggio here to get into the semis, and Elijah Jones will, again, take care of business with Griffin Gerber and get to the semis. Jones will take care of Maggio in the semis and punch his ticket to the finals. And here we have Smith and Horvath, one of our matches that, is one that could be an interesting matchup here in the semis. I'm going to go with Smith, based upon just hit some tougher competition throughout the season, and set up a rematch in a pack final from last week between Elijah Jones and Smith. Before we go any further, let's go down and take a look at the wrestlebacks here. and we have Gerber and Weir. Weir knocking Gerber out. Set up a match with Horvath and Snipes and Wilson. Snipes taking care of Wilson to get into those Conti semis against Maggio. Snipes and Maggio goes Maggio's way, and he qualifies for regionals. We get Snipes down there in the 5th and 6th match. We have Horvath and Weir. And Matt Weir is the senior from Haverford. I got Horvath winning to get into the 3rd and 4th place match, and Horvath winning that match. And Weir beating Snipes for 5th. Horvath beating Maggio for 3rd. We'll go back up and we talk about Jones and Smith. First time Jones pinned him. Second time, I believe it was 14-1, something to that effect, in the pack last week, if memory serves me correct. Jones again, bonus points. Smith just doesn't have an answer for all that offense that Jones brings to the table. So let's move on to 195 pounds. The weight class a lot of people ran to, staying out of 182. So we'll see the first wave of some guys that got to 195, guys from the Central League. We have Brendan Rao from Pope John Paul, a senior. Their lone qualifier, 19 and 10, and Marshall Smith of Pencrest seniors, 9 and 10. I'm going Brendan Rao for the win and get into the tournament. For his efforts, he'll get Nick Duliakis, and we'll talk more about that later. We have Mike Parecka and Keith Blair. Parecka, the senior, 22 and 12 from Boyertown. Ridley, the seniors, 10 and 15 from Ridley. I'm gonna go with Parecka for the win and get Cade Lemaire in the quarters. We have Eric Halsey and Marple Newtown seniors, 25 and 6 on the year, and Lewis Carbajal, a Springford freshman, 7 and 14. Halsey is going to be way too much for Carbajal in this match. Halsey's going to lean on that senior experience to, among other things. And then we have Ibrahim Amar, a Haverford senior, is 4 and 7, and Tanner Romance, a Phoenixville senior, who is 21 and 6. I'm going to go with the senior from Phoenixville for the win to get into the quarterfinals. And we'll come back up. Romance will get Ryan Mortimer, one of the guys that moved to 195 this postseason, and Mortimer with the win over Romance. It's just Mortimer's gonna be too much for him at this stage. And Halsey and Skylar McLeod. I'm gonna go with this was one I went back and forth with, but I am gonna go with McLeod on this one. He just finds a way to win matches to the tune of 23 and 5 this season. And his Parecka Lamar match, my part of me says take Parecka, the other part says take Lemaire. When it comes down to it, I'm going with the guy who's been there. Both seniors, the guy's been there. Was a district champ last year, qualified for states. Cade Lemaire. Some might say, well, he only won districts because Jordan Wood injury defaulted, and he only made states because Jordan Wood wasn't in the weight class. I hear you. But the bottom line is he still went, and he still came back to that experience. Now he's only 10 matches into the season, and Parecka is a guy that can just flat out grind, and grind matches out. I'm not sure Lemaire is in match shape that he can take the full 6 minutes, but we'll see. I'm still going to take him anyway. And we have Duliakis win with bonus points over Rao. I have Duliakis beating Lamar to get to the final, and I have Mortimer beating McLeod to get into the final as well. So let's look at our drop downs from the semifinal losers. Rao and Parecka. Parecka is going to get the win there. Halsey and Romance. I'm going to go with Romance here. He didn't have enough. I didn't think he could beat Mortimer, and that's why I picked against him there. But Romance this senior season, he's trying to become the first Phoenixville wrestler in like 16 or 17 years to qualify for states. And, it's a step in the right direction. He's had a bad draw. He lost by a point to Parecka, and otherwise he'd been another part of the bracket, maybe in a different position. But, he wins there, and he gets a chance at Cade Lemaire. I'm going to, Lemaire coming off the loss to Duliakis. I'm going to give the nod here, another upset to, grabbed the wrong thing. I'm going to give it to Romance and put Romance into that regional tournament with a qualification to be determined. And McLeod and Pareca, I'm going Pareca. McLeod, yeah, I did just say all he does is win matches, but Pareca's going to, I just think, just be in McLeod's face the whole time and push him and keep him uncomfortable. And that's going to be too much for McLeod. So we have Lemaire and McLeod down here, with Lemaire winning. And then the rematch of the third and fourth place match from the pack last week being done again here at Districts. I'm going to go with Romance in the rematch for the win to finish third, and put himself in better position for regionals when it counts. Duliakis and Mortimer. I'm intrigued by this matchup. Mortimer has wrestled several weight classes. He's 30-6 on the year. Duliakis 22-6 after missing some time. I just think right now Duliakis on his feet and on top is just wrestling extremely well. I think those are going to be two differences. Duliakis is tilting everyone from every which way, and he's able to put a lot of points on the board in doing so. And that, you put points on the board and chances are you're going to win. So I got Duliakis to be the champ here at the tournament this particular day. But this match could go either way. It's going to 220 pounds, and we have Liam McCullough, Haverford High Jr., 9-21 in the year, and Mason Grohoski, Boyertown Senior, 11-15. I might put Grohoski in my my all District 1 all name team. Grohoski, I feel is going to get the win here and get himself in the tournament. All he does is get himself a match with Brian Kennerly. Nair Williams, Radner Sr., and Joseph Donahue, Methacton Sr. I'm going with Nair Williams here. A few unknowns as to about him, but I'm going with the senior from Radnor on this one. Then we can come down the bottom half with Tyler LaRocca, the senior from Springford, 13-10, and Dimitri Partsenakis, a Pencrest freshman, 7-5. I'm going to go with the senior here, 13-10, and lean on that senior experience. And then we have Gavin Euchre, a freshman from Perkiomen Valley, 19-7, and Ryan Rushton, Garnet Valley senior, 12-9. This one I could have gone either way, but I just think that once we're at this level here, Euchre just just not where he needs to be as far as I don't want to use the word maturity, but he's just I don't think he's ready for the show yet. This is just my opinion, so I'm going with Ryan Rushton for the win to get into the tournament. Rushton will then get Michael Medugno, senior from Upper Perk, who's 27-3, and I'll tell you what looked really tough last week in the finals against Marlon Bo Cephas from Norristown, which we'll talk about in a few matches. But Medugno is going to be too much for Rushton. Then we have Leo Cassie, a senior from Ridley, and Tyler LaRocca, and Cassie's going to be too much for LaRocca. Get him a semifinal matchup with Medugno. And we have Marlon Cephas, senior, 18-9, and Nair Williams. I'm going to go Cephas to make the semis, and then Brian Kennerly, undefeated, 28-0, just beating everyone that's set foot on the mat with him this year. He's going to get the win over Grohoski. Set up the Kennerly Cephas match. Again, Cephas won't have an answer for anything Kennerly wants to throw at him. And Cassie Medugno, I see this Medugno from the start being in control of that match and winning, same a finals with Kennerly, which has the potential to be a pretty good match. Cassie drops down here and Cephas goes there, and then we can go over to here. Grohoski and Williams. Williams is just going to be too much for Grohoski to deal with, and gets the win, gets a matchup with Cassidy in the Consi semis, and LaRocca and Rushton. I think Rushton is a little bit more polished of a wrestler over LaRocca, and gets himself in that Consi semis against Cephas. Cephas, however, will get the win over Rushton. We drop Rushton down into the 5th and 6th match, and with Cassie and Williams, Cassie just a little bit too much for Nair Williams, and with Nair Williams and Rushton, we have Williams winning to take 5th, and then here in this 3rd place match, I got Leo Cassidy winning to take 3rd. But in this finals match between Medugno and Kennerly, as much as nothing against Brian Kennerly, and as much as I like to see the underdog win here, I just don't see it happening. Kennerly is going to be, too much. I use that term a lot, but he's going to Medugno's not going to have an answer for a lot of what Kennerly's going to be able to do here in the final. He can beat you from his feet. And that's where he's probably going to win the match from. Medugno won that match the other day in the pack final against Cephas from his feet. And he's not going to have that option against Kennerly. And Kennerly won't let him have his way like he was able to have with Cephas. So let's go to 285 pounds here, and we'll get ready to close this out. We'll do a little closure, and we'll call it a day. Let's go right to the pigtails here. We got Jair Holmes, the PV Juniors, 10-7, and Scott Jean, a Conestoga Juniors, 28. I'm going with the Conestoga Juniors, Scott Jean. Then we have Tom Doyle, Pottstown Juniors, 18-9, and Folly M. Amuzugan, an Upper Darby Juniors, 12-14. I really like the way Doyle wrestled over the weekend. He just did little things right that kept him in good position. I think he takes care of Amuzugan and gets in the tournament. We go looking down here at the next pigtail. We have Lee Holbert, Strathaven Jr., and Isaac Hanna, Pottsgrove Sophomore, 8-7. Holbert's going to be way more than Hanna can handle. Great job by Hanna getting to this point, but he's going to be overpowered in this match. We have Tommy Mahoney and Alejandro Acosta, or Alex Acosta. This is a rematch from the dual meet. Won, I believe, in 3-2 ultimate tiebreaker by Mahoney. In recent weeks, Acosta has kind of not wrestled up to his potential, and until he shows me different, I got to go Mahoney on this one. He's got to he's got to show more, and Mahoney's been wrestling well. He's 26-10 on the year, so let's go back up to the semifinal or the quarterfinals. Mahoney and Anthony Goodman. Goodman just on a little bit different level right now. Goodman gets the win over Mahoney. We got Holbert and Tony Ellis. Tony Ellis is like a crafty, for a sophomore. He's pretty crafty. He kind of lulls you to sleep, and then he's able to score points. And it's interesting to watch. 1 second he looks like he's tired and hanging on for dear life, and then he's hitting you with a double leg takedown, or you shoot in and he's hitting a real nice counter and scoring points based on your mistake. So Ellis going to be too much for Holbert. And then we have John Sheldon, a senior from Ridley, with a record of 21-9, and Tom Doyle. Sheldon gets the win there, gets into the semis. And then we have Matt Lepore and Scott Jean. Lepore, the junior from Springford, gets the win to get into the semis. And then with Lepore and Sheldon, got Sheldon beating Lepore to get into the finals. Just ran some matches. I feel Sheldon's the better pick here. And we have Ellis and Goodman. I think this is going to be an all Central League final rematch from the last week's tournament. So we go down the bottom here. Sorry, cover those up. Take all these away. We see what we got. We got Jean and Doyle. And we're going to go Doyle here for the win and rematch with Ellis. We have Holbert and Mahoney. We go Mahoney here. Mahoney and Lepore is a interesting match, but Lepore I'm going to take for the win. And that puts Mahoney down here. And Ellis and Doyle. Doyle's run ends here as far as in the winner's bracket. And Ellis gets the win and sends up a all-pack third place match. And then we have an all Central League pack fifth place match won by Mahoney. Here we'll have Lepore winning again, just like this past week. And here in the final, Goodman and Sheldon. I'm going to take Goodman to win again for a second week in a row, beating Sheldon. And that's how I see it panning out here. Right now, I just want to take a second to talk a little bit about the team race. And I did it with the other tournaments. I can go probably 5 deep in this tournament as teams that will have an opportunity that'll be there at the end. Actually, I'm gonna go 6 deep. I think the top 2 dogs in this tournament are going to be Boyertown and O&J. Just got a lot of guys there, and it's this going to be one of the wrestlebacks. This just like it was last week. It's going to take a total team effort. I think realistically, Boyertown's looking at like 6 or 7 guys to get out. O&J's looking at 5 or 6 guys to get out. Then you also got to throw in other names. Get thrown in the hat. Meth Acton is going to have guys get out. They're going to get Reddington, Henry, Ellis, Morbido, Marion, Blakemore. There's 6 right there that could get out. And then you also have to figure in that out of the Central League you have Pencrest is gonna make a little bit of noise, not a whole lot, but they're gonna make noise because of the talented guys they have. But then Garnet Valley and Upper Darby, you can't forget either of those two. Those two will definitely push guys into late rounds in the tournament. And they got guys that can score points. Like Kennerly's going to score a lot of bonus points. Cronin's going to score a lot of bonus points. Livingston's going to score a lot of bonus points. Those are 3 guys right there that are going to, like I said, score points for them. And then Garden Valley, Marino is a bonus point machine. So is Politi. Both players are going to score points, but Nick especially. Pizzuto, Mahoney's going to score points. Mortimer, Wood, like those are all guys that are going to wrestle back. Like they might lose, but they're going to wrestle back. Like so, I wouldn't say it's anyone's to win. I think at the end of the day, it's going to be Boyertown or O&J. But I could be wrong. It's happened before. I want to talk about OW for a second. I'll throw out a few candidates for OW. I think whoever wins 120 is a potential, and it could be any number of people, just because of the guys in the weight class. I'm gonna say you can always throw out your top level guys, your Jacob Campbells, your Colin Cronins, your Brian Kennerlys, guys like that, because if they do what they're expected to do and buzzsaw through their weight class, how do you not reward them for that? I mean, yeah, they were supposed to do it, but the fact of the matter is they still went out and did it. And at this level, like I said, as the weeks go on, the level of competition goes up, and so you can't penalize them for. Again, it's one of those things out of their control. So I'll say that in the winner at 132. Could be potentially an OW because that weight class has a lot of talent in it. Isaiah Mays, Ryan Finn, if he's able to come out and win it. I mean, there's a lot of guys that go down. And Brandon Meredith, if he avenges those losses to Matt Wild, you better believe he's in it. Justin Altrog, if he's able to win that weight class, or Corey Morbido, might not have picked him, but if he by chance beats Dayton Del Vicio, and then beats Altrog, and comes back and beats Del Vicio and avenges that loss and avenges the loss from last week, again, this guy you'd have to seriously consider. So I know I just threw out more than 3 names, but that's just a lot of guys, and for what it's worth, probably none of the guys I named will win it. It'll probably be someone different, because that's just the way it goes. That's what I got for today here for the West preview. This one was a little bit longer than the others, but with that said, I'm looking forward to this weekend. I wish I could be 3 places at once, as I'm sure a lot of you do as well. Mike and I will be on scene at Springford. We'll be filming here at the West tournament, the finals, and look for that to be posted. And that's about it. Again, as always, this is just for fun, just my opinion, something to strike up some conversation. Like I said at the end of every video, always looking for feedback. Anyone care to throw some questions my way? Something that you want to see in the preview for regionals. If you want to, submit some predictions, we're all for it. Just reach out. But with that said, take care. Have a great day, and see some of you on the mats on Saturday.